On March 4, 2024, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev raised concerns at the World Youth Festival in Sochi by saying something dangerous and chilling. These were his exact words. One of Ukraine's former leaders once said, "Ukraine is not Russia. That concept needs to disappear forever. Ukraine is definitely Russia." While the forum's purpose was to promote peace, Medvedev used the opportunity to promote Putin's imperial designs. Yes, along with saying that Ukraine is Russia, he also revealed a new map, a map that gave Ukrainian territories to Central Eastern and Eastern European countries like Poland, Romania, and Hungary. This isn't just a map. It's a call from Moscow to once again redefine the boundaries of Eastern Europe. Is this Russia's new plan to reload the USSR, control Eastern Europe and the Black Sea, and completely squeeze Ukraine? So, a couple of quick questions. What exactly is this new map? What does it have to do with Poland, Romania, and Hungary? And why is it a total disaster, especially for Romania? To know the answers, you must first understand where the term "Ukraine is not Russia" came from. Russia's imperial ambitions in Ukraine date back centuries. For instance, during Catherine the Great's reign in the late 18th century, Russia expanded its influence into Ukraine through policies such as settler colonialism. Catherine encouraged Russian nobles to settle in Ukrainian territories, leading to the gradual assimilation of Ukrainian lands into the Russian Empire. The quest to suppress Ukrainian national identity continued into the 19th and early 20th centuries. One example is the policy of blanket Russification imposed by Tsar Nicholas I in the 19th century. This policy aimed to impose the Russian language and culture on Ukraine, undermining Ukrainian distinctiveness. The 20th century brought in more aggressive tactics by the Russians. The Holodomor is a name given to genocide by famine that lasted from 1932 to 1993 in Ukraine. Approximately 10 million Ukrainians were the victims of an artificial famine during the Stalinist regime, when 25,000 people died per day at the height of the famine. So you can see that historically, Russians have done everything to crush the unique identity of Ukraine. But Putin doesn't like to be criticized, especially when it's done by words. So in 2003, former Ukrainian President Leonid Kuchma wrote a book called "Ukraine is not Russia." He continued this series with a second part released in 2023. The main idea of Kuchma's book is that Ukraine and Russia are different in terms of culture and language, and they don't share much in common historically. So this was exactly what Medvedev responded to in his Sochi speech. But instead of using reason, he came up with an imperialist agenda of Putin by releasing a very dangerous map. Now before we go on, if you find this video informative, please subscribe to our channel and like the video. This is the new map that Medvedev released that day. Looking closely, part of Ukraine is given to Poland, Hungary, and Romania. Most of it is, however, taken by Russia. Russia would also be in control of a swath of Ukrainian cities and its east, south, and the entire Black Sea coastline. The Moldovan region of Transnistria is also taken by Russia, though Moldova is shown as a whole with Transnistria still attached. Many people might glance at this map and dismiss it as a fantasy or a distraction tactic by the Russians, perhaps to win over their voters or evoke strong emotions. However, if you understand Russian motives, you'll realize that this map represents their immediate goal or endgame in Ukraine. Initially, Putin tried to frame the invasion of Ukraine as a battle against Ukrainian Nazis and a reaction to NATO's expansion over the years. However, as the conflict progressed, he became more transparent about his true ambition of expanding Russian influence in Ukraine. Putin has even compared this invasion to the imperial conquest of Russian ruler Peter the Great in the 18th century. In a recent interview with American media figure Tucker Carlson, Putin spent a significant amount of time justifying the war by claiming that Ukraine has always been historically linked to Russia. This is worrying because the area has a troubled past, being where World War II began with Hitler's invasion of Poland. If not addressed, this could have serious future effects. Let's now talk about this bit by bit. The map is clear. Russians suggest to Poland, Romania, and Hungary. Let's partition Ukraine as Russians did with the Germans to Poland before. They offer it as a gift to these countries, and if they refuse, Russia will invade them with its military. Clearly, this is a poisoned apple. If Poland, Romania, and Hungary agree, they would be seen as aggressor states, pushing them outside the bounds of NATO and the EU and placing them squarely under Russian influence. On the proposed map, Poland stands to gain the most, but it also indicates that Russia wants to avoid direct borders, instead creating a buffer state with an artificial and dysfunctional Ukraine limited to just Kiev and assigning the region Venetia to Romania. For Romania, this plan is a disaster waiting to happen. Russia would gain access to the Danube Delta, a strategic entry point. The Republic of Moldova would not join Romania, but would become a buffer state for Russia. Protecting and occupying Chernivtsi and Venetia would require Romania to significantly increase its military forces, leaving it unable to defend their current territory effectively. There's a vulnerable bridge linking Chernivtsi and Venetia that could easily be cut off by Russia, starting from Moldova. Also, an invasion of Poland, Romania, or Hungary by Russia would be an economic disaster for everyone involved. War disrupts trade. Border closures, sanctions, and infrastructure damage would cripple the flow of goods. Poland, for instance, exports $24 billion worth of machinery and vehicles annually. This trade would grind to a halt, impacting both Polish producers and their trading partners. Ukraine is a major grain exporter, and the war there has already disrupted global food supplies. An expanded conflict could push prices even higher, leading to food shortages and economic hardship for many countries. This is not in the Russian interests. Russia has already been slapped with 16,587 sanctions since the start of the war. While many think that with Putin becoming the president again, the economy is under control, but more instability in this region could place Russia in further economic crisis. So the Russians must realize that this new imperialism map is not in the interest of anyone. But in this anarchic world, who can we trust? That's why something must be done about it. And here's the exact playbook to do that. To effectively counter aggression, we must be proactive. Before Russia makes any reckless moves, it's crucial for Poland, Romania, and Western powers to join forces. Medvedev has already dismissed the idea of peace talks with Ukraine's current leadership, insisting that any future Ukrainian government must accept what he terms as the new reality. Speaking about relations between East and West, Medvedev highlighted that Moscow's ties with Washington are now more strained than during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, a time when nuclear conflict seemed imminent. This indicates that expecting peace talks with Russia may not be realistic. Given the situation, the best strategy is for the West to arm Ukraine to deter further Russian aggression. There are rumors suggesting that Medvedev and other Kremlin officials have accused Western countries of involvement in the conflict in Ukraine. This accusation came after a wiretap recording of German military officials discussing the potential impact of Ukraine using German-made Taurus missiles was circulated on Russian social media. While German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has been hesitant to send these missiles to Ukraine out of fear of escalating the conflict, the reality is that if Germany doesn't arm Ukraine, the entire region could be engulfed in war. The recent map released by Russia indicates negative intentions, and it's crucial to prevent further escalation for the sake of peace. So what are your thoughts on Russia's new map and intentions? Share your thoughts, like and subscribe to our channel, and check out our previous video on how the UK's Brexit decision impacts its economic future.